When we realize our childhood experience is not a reflection of who we were, but our childhood experience was rather a reflection of our parents' childhood experience, we are free to no longer personalize it. We are free to let go of that narrative that we were deserving of the emotional, physical, and verbal abuse and the emotional neglect. Because I will tell you right now, everybody born on planet Earth, every human is just by being here is deserving of unconditional love. Hi friends, welcome back to the AM with Amy. I'm your host, Amy, and if you're new here on this channel, it's where I sit down and I do my makeup and I talk to you about some stuff. That's really making an understatement of it, but today is a very special episode dedicated to the holidays, which despite what we've been told via Hallmark movies and television programming, the holidays are an extremely difficult time for many of us because it is bringing up a lot of old childhood trauma and childhood wounds. So I wanted to feature some of your questions like I normally do in all my other AM with Amy's, which you can submit on IG stories, on my IG stories, but I realized that many of us, no matter which narrative it came from, no matter which household or background, cultural background it came from, that many of us were dealing with some of the same issues and the same pain, suffering from the same emotional, verbal, or physical abuse, and coming from emotionally sterile or incredibly toxic households. So with that being said, we're gonna just get into the makeup and let's talk about healing the inner child. Woo! That was a lot. Okay. Also, I'll be doing the makeup look that I've been wearing in pretty much all my videos, which is the glitter eyeliner. It's super simple. Anyways, what is the inner child? The inner child is what a lot of mental health professionals as well as spiritual thought leaders refer to as the supposed original or authentic true self. It's who you were as a kid when you were free, when you were fun-loving, when you were spontaneous, when you were creative, when you were innocent, when you were pure, before all of the downloading from people and parents came in. Many of us, if not all of us, grew up feeling unloved, unworthy, not feeling good enough, not feeling safe or understood or validated. And a lot of us are suffering with the wounded inner child. And the wounded inner child is the child that suffered from traumatic experiences. And I would argue that all of us have traumatic experiences, no matter how little, no matter how small, because it's relative, all things are relative, but all of us suffer from traumatic experiences as we get older, as we were younger, but most of our perceptions and most of our downloads of toxic ideologies, of oppressive behaviors, of immature reactions is downloaded from the people that we're supposed to nurture and take care of us. Our childhood is where the subconscious mind is formed. It's where we learn how to process emotions or not process them, create boundaries, how to receive and give love, and a number of different behaviors. Let me just pause for a moment to do my eyeliner. It's very hard to talk and do makeup at the same time. It's typically our parents that we have adopted or have been passed down from generation to generation, these beliefs. And you can choose to break those when you start to think for yourself. But in that same way, a lot of our emotional trauma and baggage is also getting passed down through us through generations. And in a perfect idealized world, our parents would be two self-actualized people who have done a lot of inner work, who have processed their emotions, who have just found their own passions, who have learned how to thrive in this beautiful dimension. But oftentimes our parents are also suffering, are also going through their own traumatic experiences, and also have not been able to do the self-work or the shadow work that needed to be done before creating new life into this world. And so a lot of what we suffer from as a kid is stuff that's really passed down to us. And it's why a lot of us, as we get older, we start to seek external validation from something that we felt internally growing up, even though it was just passed down to us subconsciously without us really knowing, in the sense that no child comes out of the womb feeling inherently racist or homophobic or sexist, but these are ideologies and beliefs that might have been passed down from our conservative father or conservative mother. And it's only until you realize that this is a certain programming that's been given to you that you can start to think for yourself and undo that certain programming. And in that same way, we are all constantly told certain narratives about who we are, that we are not worthy of love, that we deserve to be treated this way, that we are not smart enough, that we are not beautiful enough, that we in some way are just lacking and feeling inadequate. And so it's the easiest thing as children, because we don't know any better, to blame ourselves, to take on that emotional baggage as our own, because it is not your child's instinct to resent or hate their parents. It is something that we maybe go through teenage angst, through maybe even early adulthood, even late adulthood. But when you're a kid, your first instinct is not to resent your parents, to resent the people that have given you life. We often find that people who reach high levels of success or fame or money, whatever it might be, are often still feeling a lack of, or still feeling extremely inadequate. And then it's when you realize maybe it wasn't me that was the issue, because you are achieving all these amazing things and doing the things that your parents or maybe society told you that you couldn't do as a certain person, that your programming was this. And then you realize when you start to achieve or do a little more, or find that other people other than your biological family feel deep love for you, that maybe it's not you, that maybe it was your parents. And the reason why it's so not our first instinct to blame our parents is because we've been told a certain narrative and been taking on the same role for our life. So the role of feeling not good enough, the role of feeling not pretty enough, the role of feeling not worthy enough is the role that we know we've adopted, and playing a new role sounds scary. And you can see this because we often tell ourselves, I will be happy when I get that house, maybe when I have that partnership, when I accomplish this, when I reach this goal weight, when I do this, I will finally be successful, I will finally be worthy of love, I will finally feel complete. But what we find is that many of us who accomplish certain goals are actually driven by inadequacy, or driven by a certain level of finding external validation from only that which can be solved internally. And much of that stems from our childhood, because we can only give and pass down the type of love and behavior that we have known. And so a lot of this is generational. It's like your mom's mom might have done this to her, and her mom's mom might have done this to her. And it's so important to understand that your childhood is not a reflection of who you were. It is a reflection of your parents' childhood and how they were treated. It doesn't necessarily matter whether or not you were loved. You know, you might feel as though you were not loved, but your parents might say, you were so loved, I did this for you, I did that. But love comes in many shapes and forms and sizes. Love can be toxic, love can be selfish, love can be abusive, love can be conditional. And I feel like many of us, if not all of us, have experienced conditional love. Now I'm gonna put on the eyeliner. This is the easiest part. This is the Heavy Metal Urban Decay. I literally just sprayed out on my inner corner like this. Takes a couple seconds and makes you look ethereal, in my opinion. The most important thing to remember is that it is not your fault. I want to say that one more time. It is not your fault that you felt unloved, that you felt unheard, unsafe to be your true and authentic self, to be that kid inside of you that did not feel emotionally validated, emotionally secure, emotionally nurtured. It is not your fault. Generational healing includes unlearning subconscious programming and beliefs that were passed down to us generation after generation from the mother side, from the father side, and it includes a lot of shadow work. And that is why most of us have not healed, because it takes a lot of work to realize and dismantle this narrative of that we've been told our whole lives. It's so much easier to just buy into that programming that we're not good enough, that we're not pretty enough, that we're not smart enough, than to actually understand what is the root of the root. What we don't heal, we pass on. Disorders are often adaptive behaviors to childhood trauma. So much of what we're experiencing is because of what we experienced as a child and much of the downloads. When we realize our childhood experience is not a reflection of who we were, but our childhood experience was rather a reflection of our parents' childhood experience, we are free to no longer personalize it. We are free to let go of that narrative that we were deserving of the emotional, physical, and verbal abuse and the emotional neglect. Because I will tell you right now, everybody born on planet Earth, every human is just by being here is deserving of unconditional love and is deserving of feeling wanted and nurtured. And so much of what we've experienced is just passed down. And it's oftentimes when we see fathers beat their mothers, they create sons that beat their wives. When we find that usually the mean girl in these high school movies, they usually have a verbally abusive or emotionally absent mother. Our mother wound, our father wound, are wounds that are just passed down to us generation to generation. And when left unresolved, we leave that to give to our children. It is not our parents that we are to blame. Blaming people and blaming others often gives away our power. It makes us live in victimhood mentality. And while we are all victims of something, we don't have to live in victimhood and disempowerment. We can reclaim that and cultivate compassion and empathy. And when you start to realize how your parents were raised, you can understand why you were raised a certain way. I really encourage you, if you speak the same language, if you have the ability to have an open and honest conversation with your parents, I would highly recommend trying to figure out what their childhood was like and what they grew up with. The reason why undoing certain subconscious programming is difficult for us is because a lot of our subconscious programming and the beliefs that were given to us have served us well. For example, don't play in the street. That has served us well in childhood and also as adults. You know, you don't want to be playing in the street because it's dangerous. But other beliefs and other ideologies have been given to us and might have served us then as a kid, but no longer as an adult. For example, don't trust strangers, because when you don't trust strangers in your adult life, it just leads to a lot of isolation and loneliness and despair. Other ideologies such as racism, homophobia, sexism might not serve us as a whole or as a collective unconscious. It is only when you have self-awareness and when you start to actually think for yourself and can separate from what is your parents versus what is your true and authentic inner child belief and what it is for you that you want to pass down. And a lot of times it's very hard to heal the inner child because it includes a lot of shadow work, and shadow work is coming face to face with all the parts of you that are extremely dark. That's why as adults, we don't pick healthy love. We pick familiar love. We end up in relationships that mirror or attract the same type of codependent, emotionally absent love that we felt as children. And that's why when we enter a healthy relationship, a growing, positive relationship, many of us who have come from tumultuous households or family backgrounds will feel that it's not chaotic enough, it's boring, it doesn't feel good. And that's why we attract so much of the toxicity, because it's so much of what we experience as kids. And we don't go for what's healthy, we go for what's familiar, what feels like mom or dad. Like I said, because it's typically easier to just blame ourselves and to consistently play the same role that we've been told and we've been given our lives, whether that's the role of not feeling worthy, the role of the caretaker, the role of the provider, the role of feeling like the emotional beam of light that holds the family. We can realize that we are deserving of new roles and of new experiences, but it can be very scary to let go of that. And a lot of that requires shadow work. And I want to read a little excerpt from a psychotherapist on Instagram that I loved. This is shadow work. Waking up to ourselves also means waking up to the parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at too closely. Shadow work is not for the faint of heart. It takes real courage to do this work, to be real and raw with yourself, to peel back the layers and look at motivation that's not aligned with what you're telling yourself, to look at where your words and behavior don't match up. However, in doing this work and integrating your shadow, you truly wake up to who you are, and that is power. I am deeply on my own journey of healing my inner child, and I have a lot to say about this topic, but I just wanted to kind of intro you to this idea of inner child trauma and being the wounded inner child. If you want to read that Instagram caption for yourself, you can read it down below. I'll have it linked. With that, I just want to close off the video by saying a quote that really resonated with me and hopefully might resonate with you. And it goes, if you feel like you don't fit into the world you inherited, it is because you were born to help create a new one. And I just want to say that you are deeply worthy and deeply loved and deeply supported, and just feel the love that I'm sending you from this computer screen. And thank you so much for being here with me today, because if this video found you today, I don't think it's by any surprise or by chance. I think your intuition led you here and your path led you here. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.